It's going to be a fun little interesting time. I'm going to try to fashion something hold this because I got a lot of paper in front of me between results and picks and everything else. Now that we're finally going hot, may as well just say, hey guys, welcome C+J Speedway review. Finally made it to you, and we're going.
Woohoo!
He's Corey. I'm Chris. You don't need introductions because we're already here. So let's get some of the talk out of the way. What do you think about this schedule change?
See, I was looking at the schedule yesterday, and I thought to myself, I really think NASCAR hit a home run with this. And there were some things I kind of agreed on, and then there were things where, there's one that I kind of questioned on. And I mean, from the looks of it, I really like the way that NASCAR kind of, rotated everything around. And besides the fact that, Phoenix being the championship race, and then, of course, you got Homestead being moved to March for the very first time in the spring. You got the West Coast swing starting a bit early. You got Atlanta moving to March. You have Martinsville being the first ever night race, on Mother's Day weekend. You also have Indianapolis on July 4th weekend. You also have, I believe, Dover in August. You got Daytona, the regular season finale. And then, of course, for the playoffs, round of 16, you have Darlington, Richmond, Bristol. Round of 12, you have Vegas, Talladega, and the Charlotte Roval. And then the round of 8, which I think this is going to be exciting, you have Kansas, Texas, and Martinsville. And then you got the championship race at Homestead. But the one thing I also want to question, and I know that NASCAR kind of did this, which I'm really kind of questioning on this, is having the doubleheader weekend at Pocono. Now I'm thinking to myself, okay, so the only racing series that ever has a doubleheader weekend is pretty much IndyCar, which of course, they race at Belle Isle on Saturday and then the next day as well. Now I'm thinking with this one, with Pocono, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so are we going to see both 160 lap races? Are we going to see 100-lap race one day, 60 laps the next day? I mean, and then not to mention, you also have like 5 races that are going to be added to it. So I'm thinking, okay, so you're definitely going to have ARCA on Friday, and then Saturday you'll have Trucks and Cup, and then Sunday you'll have Xfinity and Cup. So I don't know how this is all going to play out, but I'm just thinking to myself, I'm really excited for 2020. I think this is going to be a preview for what's going to happen in 2021 when NASCAR decides, to do this and everything else around. But also, my other one that I really love the most is, having the regular season finale at Daytona. Because if you think about it, let's say, you have a guy that's like 25th in points and he needs to win the race. And then pretty much he comes out of nowhere, and then boom, he wins the race and then makes the playoffs. I gotta tell you what, I think the regular season finale race is going to be a lot more exciting than what we saw the last few years. Being the regular season finale at either Richmond or Indianapolis and so forth. But honestly, I think NASCAR did a great job with this schedule, and I cannot wait to see how this shakes up next year.
But do you think that just for a minute that having Daytona be the final race of the quote unquote regular season throws too much of? I mean, we already have Daytona starting the season, which again, it's tradition, folks. It's like Christmas. It's Halloween. You know it's coming. You know when it's going to be. I guess my question is, that first race of the year, when you get an unexpected winner, they're already going to the championship 16. Is this the right move? I mean, if you put Daytona in the playoffs, that's one thing. But to have, let's say, look, and I'm just going to throw a name out here because I love to blow this guy up. He's the driver in the number 47 JTG ride. It is Ryan Preece. Not to say Ryan Preece isn't a fantastic driver. He is. But if he wins Daytona at the end of the season and he bumps out someone who has been a top 16 ride all year long, that kind of to me sounds like dirty pool. Not to say NASCAR is doing it on purpose because you know, with the exception of certain names like Derek Cope and Trevor Bayne, everybody who's won the Daytona 500 has gone on to be a very, very good race car driver. Right now, the question mark really is Austin Dillon, but he's really keeping up and he's doing everything he can to make his own name in the sport, and not just be Richard Childress's grandson. But do we want to leave that much that last playoff berth to chance like that.
See, and like we mentioned before, it's Daytona and anything can happen. But I mean, I just look at it. I mean, of course, you wouldn't have both super speedway races in the playoffs. I mean, you have to put Daytona somewhere. I mean, putting it in August. I mean, yeah, I'm all right with it.
Sure.
The way you look at it, but and I think if you kind of look, let's see. I'm gonna look up on the Google machine right about now.
Look at you with the Google machine.
Let's see. Temperature.
It's gonna be in the better 90s, man. I lived through Florida summer, man.
Okay, so the average temperature at Daytona Beach in August goes between 88 and 91 degrees. So I'm thinking, all right, it's going to be a lot more hotter than it is. Well, it's going to be a lot more hotter than it is, in July. Well, I think probably, maybe I would say you're still going to get the monsoon season, whatever it is, and so forth. But then another one I also want to discuss, is Indianapolis. Now, of course, Indianapolis is going to be moved to July 4th weekend, but here's another problem that goes with this. They're also going to be dealing with weather as well, because, of course, it's going to be hot over there too, especially when it comes to July, because this is what they've been battling the last few years. Whenever the guys would race at Indianapolis, and to top this off, so the average temperature at actually, hold on, I got the wrong month there. Never mind. The average temperature in Indianapolis in July has to be probably around 85 or so forth.
Not the worst ever. Look, Midwest heat is nothing like we experience here on the East Coast where you and I live. Midwest is a very dry, not very brutal heat. Whereas, you get around, the back bay at Boston in the summertime and you're just screaming in sweat. It's just terrible. Same thing down here, Rhode Island, Connecticut. It's just thick and it's hairy and it's nasty. We've been to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, and we got the time you and I were there at the same time. We got lucky. It was a cooler, more reserved, not your average July race at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I've been there years where it's 91, the ambient temperature. Now you throw 40 cars out there and 110 people in the stands, and you're butthole to elbow for 4 or 5 hours. Before you know it, you're peeling your own clothes off when you get back to the hotel. They are soaked in sweat. Giving the July 4th date to Indianapolis is great for two reasons. One, again, you don't have that stifling East Coast heat in Daytona July 4th weekend. And second, if you're going to give away one of the most prized dates in NASCAR, why not give it to one of the most historic tracks that we have on the circuit, being Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
I mean, it is a good call, but I still think Daytona should have been kept on its original date for 4th of July, and but I don't know. I'm interested to see how Indianapolis goes, and can't wait.
Well, I'm going to make an adjustment because as much as I can hear you having a little bit of an issue with ambient noise. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, excellent. I can hear you. And that's what makes this show great. We hear each other. Fantastical. Unlike the technical difficulties we had earlier. Going back to something you said about Pocono, one of the things that I thought about in that date, and everybody knows, not a big fan of the Pocono race. You guys know this. So now they're doubling up the date, which doesn't bother me at all. It just means one weekend of Pocono racing for me. Hooray. But teams are now going to have to bring 4 cars in race trim for the entire weekend because they're not going to let them run the same car that you ran on Saturday on Sunday. Just not an option because they all have to go through tech. Certain cars get yanked and sent down to the R&D center. So you now have to bring 4 cars in one weekend. That's gonna be a workload for all of these teams as they get closer to that doubleheader weekend in Pocono, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, see, that's the only thing I'm also questioning on too. Is I don't know how NASCAR is going to do this because this is the first time that the Cup Series is going to have a doubleheader weekend for the first time ever. And I mean, it's like this, like, like, do they qualify, both Saturday and Sunday? I mean, do they just qualify, and then just start the same positions where they were, like, on Saturday? I mean, and not to mention, like, the biggest question is, like, what are they going to do, like, for post race inspection? Because, not only you're going to have to inspect the cars on Saturday, but you're also going to have to do it on Sunday as well. So that's going to be the big question, going into next year as well. And I think this is probably going to be a test for NASCAR. If we're going to have like a doubleheader weekend, like in 2021 and beyond, I mean, of course, like, rumor has it, rumors were going out that, whether if we're going to have like a midweek race, which I don't know if it would happen, but no, I'm really going to watch closely on this doubleheader weekend and see how this plays out and see how everyone all goes out like this, and that, and so forth. And let's not forget, NASCAR did have a doubleheader weekend with the Xfinity and the Truck Series a couple times. I mean, I can probably remember one, Atlanta, having a doubleheader weekend the last few years, and you had the Xfinity race in the afternoon, which you have 163 laps, and then you have the truck race right afterwards, which I think it's like 130 laps. So, but with Pocono, being like, if you add up all the laps that goes on, I think, like mile wise, I think you're going to have like an 800-mile race, like in like one weekend and so forth. But
right, and one of the things that I don't think they thought about either is, that's not exactly an easy race for the driver. There's three different shape turns, three different sets of banking, long long straightaways on this particular triangle shaped track. That takes a lot out of a driver. So now you're asking them to do that once on Saturday, once on Sunday. Like you said, it's probably going to be an 800 to 900 mile run in one weekend.
Yeah,
that's insane. But we'll talk about this more as we go along because as the schedule is there, I'm sure there's other things we want to talk about. But since technical difficulties have set us back a little bit, why don't we dive right into the weekend? The weekend that was at Martinsville, Virginia. Oh boy, it's almost like a broken record. But you know what? As long as the guy keeps winning, we're going to keep talking about him. I believe this is the fourth weekend in a row that Kyle Busch has taken home a checkered flag in at least one of the three touring series.
Indeed, it is, and I believe it is his third straight win in the Truck Series,
Yes.
driving the 51. And I was just thinking about this past weekend. I mean, there's just no doubt that the guy can drive. I mean, put him in you put him in any type of vehicle. I mean, he just goes out and could just win the thing. But
I dare say you could put him in a 1979 Pinto, and he's gonna do everything he can to make that car a winner.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at the lap sled that he had on Saturday. He led 174 out of 250 laps, and I mean, for the looks of this race, like it was. I mean, it was typical Martinsville, but it wasn't really the Martinsville like that I expected. I mean, like I was expecting a lot of like beating, banging, like spinning outs and bump and runs and everything else in between. But I think if you look at it, it kind of looked as if it was a clean Martinsville race from perspective.
Sure, and there wasn't a lot of, like you said, bumping. There was bumping and banging, but there wasn't anything that you could just get angry over. You go back to Kyle Busch, his dominance of 174 of the 250 laps. Once he made that pass of Ross Chastain, he led the final 66. He did not look back. And if he did look back, he's watching the trucks get smaller and smaller in his rearview mirror. Nobody came up big to challenge him, not even close. And when I look at some of the names that came in behind him, one who will be one of my happies as we go forward, you know, this is the time. This is one of those tracks where if you're on the Truck Series, this is where you make a name for yourself. Dan Williamson is watching. What's going on, Big D? Um, again, Kyle Busch. I keep saying the word surgeon. He finds a way to cut and dice and slice all the way through and get to the front and stay in the front. Is it always happy for us? No, but it's hard to sit back. It's getting harder for me each week to come up with something bad to say about Kyle Busch. Is his attitude terrible? Sure. But boy, it's exciting when you put him behind the wheel of a vehicle. I'd love to just take a ride with him to the mall just to see how he is in traffic.
I would love to see that too, yeah, I mean, going back, I mean, the one guy that I was really impressed on Saturday is Ross Chastain. I mean,
Mm,
given a guy that that's driving a full time schedule this year, I think in the Xfinity Series, and then of course he's jumping team to team from either JD Motorsports or Colleague Racing, and then of course now driving for Nice Motorsports, and then finishing in the top five. I just thought to myself, I think this is a kid. Um, that I think is going to win a race sometime soon, whether it be in the trucks or Xfinity. I mean, let's face it. I mean, Colleague Racing, it's a good ride right now, and of course, they're bringing up, a lot of these guys, and of course, they're bringing all these guys in from the Cup Series side. I mean, I just heard that AJ Allmendinger is going to be driving a few races in the 10 car for
yes.
Colleague Racing. I think on the road courses and stuff, and then of course you have Austin Dillon who comes in for a few races, and then of course Chastain, who's only going to be running like two more races in that team. But looking at all these results too, I mean, another guy that also stands out too is Ben Rhodes. I mean, for a guy that hasn't got off to a great start this year to pull off a runner-up finish in that 99 truck, I mean, I thought I was impressed by that too. And then also Brett Moffitt, who comes home third. I mean, a good run for that team as well.
And one other one that I want to mention, and I'll get into the results in just a second, might not have been the best run, but a top five is a top five. Stuart Friesen with his fifth place finish this past weekend.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! Well, you know what? We'll just say that. Let me get to the results real quick, and we'll go to happies and sads, points and picks. Obviously, Kyle Busch dominates Martinsville to win. Ben Rhodes second, Brett Moffitt third, Ross Chastain fourth. Stop. Question for you. This is the question I wanted to ask, and I got thrown off. Is Ross Chastain, would he have been better off to declare himself eligible for the Truck or the Xfinity Series Championship rather than the Cup Championship? Because as I look at the points in the Cup Series, he's not in the top 20. Short of a victory, I don't think Ross Chastain is making the round of 16 in the Cup. Do you think maybe he should have chosen one of the lower levels? He can still run a full time Cup run, but, you know, come on. He needs a little more seasoning, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's better off just running in both either the trucks and Xfinity.
Okay. Moving right along. Stuart Friesen fifth, Myatt Snyder sixth, Grant Enfinger seventh, Matt Crafton eighth, Johnny Sauter ninth, and Bubba Wallace rounds out your top 10. Your other notables are Harrison Burton in 11th. We got Austin Dillon in 13th. Moving down the list, Austin Hill 16th. Sheldon Don't Call Me Apollo Creed 17th. Moving down the list, Timmy Hill 21st. And further on down, Spencer Boyd with a disappointing 27th place run. Brennan Poole, 29th. And that's about it. So why don't you throw me a happy and throw me a sad from the weekend that was in the Truck Series at Martinsville?
All right, so my happy is definitely going to have to go to Ross Chastain. I mean, finished fourth in that Nice Motorsports truck. I mean, Nice Motorsports. I mean, they're starting to get their groove together. I mean, they keep this up. I think they're going to win a race sometime in the near future. My sad for this one is definitely going to have to go to Todd Gilliland. I mean, as much as he finished in the top 15, I was really disappointed that he could have, salvaged to get a top five or possibly a win. And, I really expect this team to run a lot better.
I want to say hello to T.A. Andrew. He's watching. Hello, Tim. You are the man. My happy for the week is Stuart Friesen. You want to talk about a big week for a guy? Took the points lead based on his finish in this race, and of course the finishes of the others that didn't quite measure up. But hey, when you're in the catbird seat, nowhere to go, man. You're good. Let's try to keep that momentum up for our man Stuart Friesen. My sad goes to Spencer Boyd. Same reason. Points, points, points. This was a guy that was close to the cutoff last week, and he took a four position drop to end up in 12th this week in the points. If he wants to be up there, he's either obviously got to win a race or two, or collect more than these 20-plus finishes, move himself up the ladder. Spencer Boyd really needed a good week. Unfortunately, wasn't his week. And now let's go to the points. And then when you want to talk about not your week, oh, good granny, we'll look at the picks. Anyway, Stuart Friesen sits atop the point standings with 151. No wins. Nobody has a win in the top 12 except one.
Except for us.
Yeah. See, you're trying to scoop me here. Grant Enfinger second with 147. Brett Moffitt third with 146. Johnny Sauter fourth, 142, and a virtual tie with Harrison Burton in fifth, also with 142. Ben Rhodes is sixth with 140. Austin Hill seventh with that all-important win. He is locked into the playoffs with 135, and Matt Crafton rounds out your top eight with 130. The next four underneath are Todd Gilliland with 126 in ninth. Sheldon Apollo Creed, yes, I call him Apollo, get off my junk. He is in 10th with 111th. Now, here comes a big drop-off to 11th. Timothy Peters with 84 points. It's a difference of 20, a lot. 111 to 84. My math hat is not on tonight. And, of course, Spencer Boyd with 69 points in 12th. Again, we've said it last week. It's too early. It's too early. It's too early. We have one driver locked in, Austin Hill. We know that anything can happen with some of these drivers. But if there's going to be a first-time winner on the Truck Series going forward, who do you think it's going to be?
So if I had to pick one right now, I'm going to have to go with Brett Moffitt. I mean, I really want to see this team.
A first-time winner. Brett Moffitt's won races before. You're killing me.
Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So first-time winner. Yeah, first-time winner would definitely have to go to Stuart Friesen.
Okay, I was going to go with Apollo Creed, but you know what?
Yeah.
I like both picks. And if anybody, if Friesen can get that win and just cement himself and keep that first place standing, I mean, he's only in the lead by 4 points over Grant Enfinger. Yeah. And there's a guy who runs his heart out every week is Grant Enfinger, and Brett Moffitt right behind them. But all right, here comes where the disappointment starts. Here come our picks from Martinsville. I took Brett Moffitt as my lock. He finished third. I took Apollo Sheldon Creed as my sleeper. He finished 17th. That's a total of 20, and you divide that by 2. My finish inside the top 10 with a 10. Corey took Johnny Sauter as his lock. He finished 9th. He took Derek Kraus as his sleeper. He finished 18th. That's a total of 27. Divide that in half. Corey, it's a 13.5, and the 1 point for the Truck Series is mine. I gotta tell you, kid. I don't know what happened between last year and this year, but it's like the picks are not fun anymore.
I mean, I'm still saying they're fun, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, is there ever going to be a weekend where I'm going to go like 2 in a row, like successfully? But
you're gonna, you know what?
Jeez,
I've already swept the weekend once.
This is a lot frustrating than it is losing the Powerball.
I don't know about that. If you win this, all you win is a T-shirt. You win the Powerball, you get $750 million. I think your priorities are a little skewed, buddy.
After taxes, it's $100 million.
Same. Doesn't matter. It's $100 million you didn't have last week. Yeah. And again, it's a T-shirt you didn't have last week either. All right. So we had the SDP 500, and boy, was this a fun race to watch. I got to see. I saw the beginning 2 stages and part of the third stage. Then the family went out and saw a really interesting Cirque-type interpretive dance gimmick, Schneewitzfernum. And but I didn't miss much from what I hear, because when I left, Brad Keselowski was killing it. And as I was listening on my speaker walking into the show, Brad Keselowski took it home. So big ups to Mark Azarju if you're out there, buddy. And I see Dan is throwing up the thumbs up. So let me do this for Dan. There's your boy. Right there, homie. Ryan Preece in the house. Trying to get Ryan Preece on the show. We are working on it diligently. But going back to the race, it wasn't what I expected. I sort of expected the Kyle Busch show. I sort of expected a Kevin Harvick show. What we got instead was the Brad Keselowski Chase Elliott show with a little bit of Logano thrown in here and there. Just an amazing run for the 2 and the 9. If it was going to be either guy, I would put it at a pick'em. I didn't mind either one of them winning, but Keselowski was just amazing on Sunday.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, I just look at Brad Keselowski. I mean, 446 out of 500 laps led. I mean, this just goes to show you that this year I think it's going to come down between Joe Gibbs and Roger Penske, because you look at it, Brad's already won 2 races so far with Joey winning at Las Vegas. Then you have Kyle Busch winning 2 races, and then of course Denny Hamlin winning the Daytona 500. So, and I think with this new package this year, this just has me thinking, you know what? I think the only 2 teams that have successfully learned this package so far has been pretty much Gibbs and Penske. And
Exactly.
I just look at, Chase Elliott. I mean, yeah, great finish for him, finishing runner up. I mean, I really want to expect more out of this 24 team this year. And then of course, you just look at the race. I mean, I thought it was also, exciting too. And then of course, mostly of course, with the Brad Keselowski show being the whole entire time. But yeah, I just think about it, and I also kind of think, I think the championship this year could come down between the 18 and the 2.
Well, one thing on Monday, you watch the Monday shows like NASCAR Race Hub and things like that. I agree with everything you just said. I'm going to disagree with the national media when all they could talk about was Stewart-Haas racing. Well, Stewart-Haas put all 4 of their cars in the top 10. Fantastic. None of them had a chance. Yes, Harvick 6th, Boyer 7th, Almirola 9th, and Suarez 10th. Fantastic. It's nothing that Hendrick or Gibbs or anybody else hasn't done in the past. Put all your cars in the top 10. When I look at Brad Keselowski, like you said, 446 laps led out of 500. Doesn't leave much left. Let's see. Who else led some laps? Joey Logano led a couple laps. He led 5. Chase Elliott led 49. And that's it. You had 3
Yeah.
leaders. 3. I just saw Dan comment, and I wanted to read it out loud. God, I wish NASCAR would get away from the cookie cutter car package rules and make a return to actual innovation. Great comment. Corey, what do you think about that?
I think that's a good comment too, and also I want to give a shout out to CJ Bassett, who's watching, and AKA the Bandit. But
he's not
I'm
Fly
glad
Job.
but I'm glad he's watching too. And CJ, if you're watching this, hello, and thank you for watching. And this is what we do for a living.
Yes, much appreciated. Well, if it was what we did for a living, I'd be happier than what I do. Anyway, let's just go to the running order. And I had a couple questions going forward. I didn't even pick a sad, but I have one in mind. Once again, Brad Keselowski takes home the big trophy, the grandfather clock, the case of beer, and everything else that goes with it. Chase Elliott second, Kyle Busch third, Ryan Blaney fourth, Denny Hamlin fifth. Kevin Harvick, Mr. Invisible, was sixth. Clint Bowyer seventh, Martin Truex Jr. eighth. Eric Almirola ninth, and Daniel Suarez rounds out your top 10. Your other notables: Kurt Busch 12th, Ryan Preece 16th, Joey Logano 19th, Matt DiBenedetto 20th, Ryan Newman 23rd, Jimmy Johnson a disappointing 24th. Moving on down the list: Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 25th, Daniel Hemrick 27th, Eric Jones 30th, and bad day for Michael McDowell 31st. So, I guess I'm going to lead this off. And it's strange for me to pick it. I'd love to pick Keselowski, easy pick, but Chase Elliott showed me something on that short track. It's a track his dad never won at, so he had a lot to prove. And if he had won that race, boy, Awesome Bill from Dawsonville would have been on top of that pit box cheering loudly. And he was there.
Yeah.
During the grid walk, seeing Bill Elliott there it brought a smile to my face, and it was awesome. My sad, oh, good God. Hard not to pick Jimmy Johnson in 24th. Bad luck Jones all day long. Every time you turn around, small issues and just not being able to carry a lot of speed. When he got into the top 10, I thought to myself, I'm like, oh, this is it. Corey took him as a sleeper. This is going to be awesome. You owe the listeners a beer. Your phone's going off. That's in public. He owes you a beer. Uh-oh. Is this bad?
No, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen what?
The beard? Or
if your phone goes off during the broadcast, you owe the listeners a beer.
Oh. All right.
So if you see
So
Corey out and about and he's at the local watering hole, just say, Corey, remember when your phone went off and you're talking about Martinsville? Boom!
yeah,
Cold,
guilty as charged.
cold beer Jones for you. I have to go with Jimmy Johnson. He got up in the top 10. I thought this was going to be the Corey Huffnagel show when we went to the picks, and then just little problems here, there, and everywhere. He wasn't he wasn't beaten by penalties. He wasn't beaten by anything other than just small little instances of bad luck. I got another
Yeah.
comment from Dan. I'd like to read this out loud. When Priest figures out how to run the Cup style consistently, car versus comfort zone of the modified, he's going to be a legit force in the Cup. Can't say I disagree. When you look at Priest from the Xfinity Series, beast. So it's his first full year on the Cup run.
Yeah.
Corey and I talked about it in the off season. I think Ryan is going to need easily a half season before you start seeing consistent runs. Plus, JTG Daugherty Racing is not the most incredibly funded team out there. So there's also going to be a financial curve. But when you look at Furniture Row Racing, who for years with Martin Truex Jr. was a one car operation, when they expanded, they seemed to lose a little bit. Then they went back to the one car operation and they won a championship. So let's give Ryan the benefit of the doubt and take him as far as, say, I'm going to say Pocono, first Pocono race in June. After that, you're really going to see Ryan and that 47 team get dialed in.
Yeah, I do agree so as well.
I kind of like this interactive Facebook gimmick we're doing. We should do this every week.
I
People
think
chime
this is a
in,
good idea. I love this.
and then Eddie chops it up in post.
Yeah.
All right, so I got my happy, I got my sad. Corey, why don't you hit me with yours?
All right. So my happy is gonna have to go. It's actually funny because my happy and sad are pretty much the same as yours.
Okay, fair. That's good.
Yeah. Pretty much
Well,
the same as yours.
same reasons, or?
Yeah, same reasons.
Okay, well, we just cut 2 minutes out of that. Let's go right to the points. And still sitting atop the Cup Mountain is Kyle Busch, 273 points and 2 wins. Denny Hamlin, second, 252 with 1 win. Mr. Invisible Kevin Harvick is third with 248 and no wins. Joey Logano fourth, 245 with a win. Brad Keselowski moves up to fifth, 236 and 2 wins. That's where the wins stop. So I can just read names and points. Eric Almirola sixth with 215. Martin Truex Jr. seventh, 207. Ryan Blaney's eighth with 203. Chase Elliott ninth with 186. Kurt Busch rounds out the top 10 with 185. From 11 to 16, which is your championship run, Kyle Larson is 11th with 182. A steep drop off to 12th with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 158. Clint Boyer 13th with 157. Eric Jones 14th with 140. Jimmy Johnson is still in the championship 16 bubble with 134 in a virtual tie. For 16th with Daniel Suarez, also 134. Your four drivers just underneath, down by 1 point from the cutoff. Alex Bowman in 17th, 133. Austin Dillon is 18th, 4 points away from the cutoff. Ryan Newman is 19th, 13 points away from the cutoff. And Paul Menard is 20th, 14 points away from the cutoff. I can see a lot of moving, shaking in that group. There's no need to try to prognosticate on who will move up, who will move down. I'm going to look at the top 10, and I'm going to draw a line right here, and I'm going to read off the drivers that do not yet have a win. Kevin Harvick, Eric Almirola, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Kurt Busch. We are looking at Texas this weekend. Which one of those six could potentially go home with the Texas trophy? Those six.
All right. If I have to pick one right now, I'm gonna say Kevin Harvick.
Okay, strangely enough, I was going with Martin Truex Jr. Mile and a half, man. He's the king.
Yep.
He's been the
There's no
king.
doubt.
And, I said those six because right underneath Kurt Busch, only 3 points back in 11th is Kyle Larson, another guy who has been the king of the mile and a half. However, the last, oh my lord, since midseason last year, Kyle Larson couldn't buy luck. And I feel bad because I do like Kyle Larson. I think he's got a lot to offer, but there's something missing. They're just, I can't put my finger on it, and none of the announcers can either.
Yeah, I mean, I can't I can't even put my finger on it either. I mean, he only has 2 top 10 finishes and an average finish of 11.2. And I mean, yeah, this was a kid that, that won like 4 or 5 races back in 2017, and everybody thought he was going to be a championship contender. And then last year, pretty much fell off the map. And now this year, he only has like 2 top 10s, and it hasn't done really a lot for the 42 team, but I really expect him, to be a lot better this year than what he was back in 17.
Hey, are those New England Patriot cheerleaders behind you?
Yes.
They don't look deflated. Anyway,
jeez.
Anyway, let's go to the points. And as if I need to rub insult to injury, we'll start with Corey. He took Denny Hamlin as his lock. He finished 5th. He took Jimmy Johnson as his sleeper. He finished 24th. And he took Kurt Busch as his hopeful. He finished 12th. That's a total of 41. You divide that by 3. Corey, your finish this week was 13.3, which is almost the same as your truck finish of 13.5. I went with the 3 Bs. I took Ryan Blaney as my lock. He finished 4th. Kurt Busch as my sleeper. He finished 12th. And Clint Boyer as my hopeful. He finished 7th. That's a 23. That's a total of 7.3 for my second sweep of the season. I am not resting my laurels on this because I do know that Corey is going to rise up like a phoenix and whoop my butt in the weeks to come. And it could start this weekend. So as we go to the tallies, Corey has no points this week. I have 4 points this week. That brings the season total to 23 for Chris, 9 for Corey. The advantage is still mine, but like I said, there are tracks coming up where I know Corey is just going to stat me to death. He's going to come home with like 1st, 3rd, and 7th, and I'm going to look like a lotto ticket. 23rd, 15th, and 38th. It's just going to be terrible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride this pony as long as I can. But now we go to the Lone Star State. We go to Texas. And Corey, where, when, and how are they running? I think all three series are running this weekend.
Yes, they are.
All right, hit it.
All right, so Friday night you have the Gander Outdoor Truck Series race, 9:00 Eastern Time on FS1, and of course on Sirius XM Channel 90, which of course I had a new promotion deal, which I'm very happy about. So Sirius XM Channel 90 for the Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR.
We'll be doing one of the races this weekend for the broadcasting team. So looking on the entry list, I see that Kyle Busch is going to be the only Truck Series guy. Well, actually, not only running the truck race on Friday night, but is also going to be doing triple duty this weekend. So doing the Xfinity race on Saturday and the Cup race on Sunday. So looking at the list, you have Sheldon Creed, you have Tyler Dipple, Todd Gilliland, Corey Roper, Joe Nemechek, Jennifer Jo Cobb, Gus Steen, Johnny Sauter, Austin Hill, Tyler Ankrum, Harrison Burton, Spencer Boyd, Bubba Wallace. Actually, my mistake. 2 Cup guys are going to be running the race on Friday night. Not only Kyle Busch, but also Bubba Wallace.
Well, Kyle Busch is a Cup guy. Bubba Wallace keeps the seat warm for the next guy.
Yeah.
And also, I hate to say this, but boy, have I soured on Bubba Wallace. I wanted so many good things for that kid, and he just can't get the hang of it.
Well, just give it time, and I'm sure he'll be successful before then.
I hope so.
Yeah. Anyways, you have Brett Moffitt in the 24, Brendan Poole in the 30. You have Sergeant Lieutenant Jesse Awuji in the 34. Angela Ruck in the 44. Ross Chastain in the 45. You have Racist Sorelli, Stuart Friesen, Anthony Alfredo, Matt Crafton, Jesse Little, Grant Infinger, and Ben Rhodes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to keep my sleeper the same as last week. I'm going to go with Sheldon Apollo Creed. But in the interest of trying to beat Stat Boy, God, I hate to do this, but I'm taking Kyle Busch as my lock. You put him behind the wheel, and he's going to kill it. So, yes, kids, Kyle Busch is my lock this weekend.
All right. So, my Okay, so my lock is going to be the same, and one's going to be different. So, of course, my lock's going to be Kyle Busch. My sleeper, I'm going to go with Brett Moffitt on this one because I really want to see this GMS team perform really flawlessly, not only this weekend but this season. And I know that Johnny Sauter has won a couple races when he was driving for GMS at Texas. So, and not to mention, Moffitt finished second at Vegas a while back. So I'm thinking, if they could bring that same truck that they ran good with at Las Vegas, I think this 24th team is going to be a one to beat come Friday night.
You might be right, my friend. Now, moving to Saturday, the Xfinity cars roll out, and where, when, and how?
So Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern time, for the Xfinity Series, you have 1 o'clock on FS1, and then, of course, I'm sorry to say this, kids, but you also have PRN, the Performance Racing Network.
The Performance Racing Network.
Yes. Performance Racing Network is going to be racing this weekend.
As long as they still employ Rusty Wallace, they're okay by me.
Yes. Yes, okay, I can approve to that. But as much as the fact of Kyle Busch running the Xfinity race on Saturday, let's see, you have guys like Cole Custer, Garrett Smithley, Michael Annett, Tyler Reddick, Ross Chastain, Justin Allgaier. Jeb Burton is going to be making an appearance in the 8 car for Junior Motorsports this weekend. Let's see, you got Gray Golding in the 08. You have Noah Gragson, Justin Haley. Actually, wait. Now I lied again. So not only Kyle Busch is running the Xfinity race on Saturday, but Brad Keselowski is going to be running the 12 car in the Xfinity race on Saturday.
That doesn't change my picks at all.
So, all right. So let's see. You have everybody's favorite BJ McLeod.
No, he's not anybody's favorite.
I meant to say that in sarcasm.
I knew it didn't come out that way. You said it kind of like, "Hey, man, we all love BJ McLeod."
Let's see. You have Brandon Jones, Christopher Bell. Funny fact, Kaz Grall is going to be making an appearance on Saturday, driving the 21 car for Richard Childress Racing.
Nice.
I don't know if this is going to be a limited schedule, but I want to say this is going to be either a limited or part-time schedule. We're not sure as of yet.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. 22 Austin Cindric, John Hunter Nemechek in the 23. You have Ryan Sieg in the 39, Jeremy Clements. You have Jeffrey Earnhardt is going to be in the 81 car this weekend. Then you have guys like Brandon Brown, Morgan Shepherd, Ronnie Bassett Jr., and, of course, last but not least, Chase Briscoe.
Okay, why don't you start out with your lock and your sleeper, sir?
All right. So my lock for this one definitely is going to be Kyle Busch because, of course, he's probably going to be the only guy that's going to beat the second Cup tier, Brad Keselowski, in the race on Saturday. So looks like it's going to be 2 for 2 this weekend for my prediction for the 18 team. So my sleeper on this one, I'm going to have to go Christopher Bell. And besides the fact, guys, I'm going to be picking both the Gibbs guys this weekend. So it's going to be a little bit of a reversal of, of what happened at Phoenix. And I really think, this is going to be a JGR show between Kyle Busch and the 20 of Christopher Bell. And I think this is going to be exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing this race on Saturday.
Okay, before we go on, not only did Dan Williamson come in with, you guys said BJ. Dan, I'm gonna read your comment and then I'm gonna tell you to go to the archives. Actually, I'm telling you to go to the archives first on the YouTube channel. Dan says, talking of drivers doing extra duty, I kind of wish that NASCAR would adopt the small track rule of drivers in the premier divisions not being allowed to compete in the lesser divisions. Kind of takes away from the little guys trying to make their mark toward the future, bigger and better things. Money, sadly, plays all too important a role. Guys, what gorgeous hunk of man who sits in my basement every single week and records this show has said that for 2 years, plus even further beyond that. Me. And Corey.
Well, I do agree.
Corey's agreed as well. But Dan couldn't have said it better. Hello, Kelly. Give my love to the niece babies. Kelly's awesome. But now comes the part where I'm just going to give you my sleeper because you already know my lock is going to be Kyle Busch. I'll do anything to win. I will slap my mother to win. But my sleeper is Justin Allgaier. Looking back at past Texas results, Allgaier's had not the best success, but he's been successful. Could this be the leap that he needs to get to that Texas win? Sure, but I like it. I like his results in the past enough to take him this week as my sleeper. Of course, my lock is Kyle Busch. Guys, I know. Send your hate tweets to @cburns19 on Twitter. You pick on Kyle Busch every single week, and now you're picking him. You're right, because I want to win free stuff. That's the rules. And I'm sure Corey, once he gets to 30-9, he's going to start saying, well, F this, I'm just going to pick all the top guys, and he's going to kick my panties. So there you have it. Plus, as long as Kyle Busch is running the under series until his gig runs up and he can't run anymore, he's an easy pick, guys. That's why Corey has him as his lock twice. That's why I have him as my lock twice. And now we move on to the Cup Series on Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Fox Jones, tell him where.
All right, so the Monster Energy Cup race, the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500, 3 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox. And then, of course, once again, PRN, the Performance Racing Network. You beat me to it.
The home of Rusty Wallace.
Yes. The home of Hall of Fame, Rusty Wallace.
That's right. And if you don't like Rusty Wallace, don't watch our show. Okay,
I love Rusty Wallace.
Thank you. You're allowed to stay. All right, so Corey, I took a different route this week, and I'm taking none of the guys in my picks have won a race this year. So basically, every pick is a hopeful. But since I have to slot them, my lock is going to be Martin Truex Jr., the king of the mile and a half. I see good things for him this weekend. My sleeper, here's a guy who is not so quietly creeped up into everybody's vernacular. He had quite the run this past weekend. I thought he might have had a chance to do better than he did. But, hey, a top 10 finish for Eric Almirola is no joke, especially in that gorgeous-looking Shazam car he ran. Eric Almirola is my sleeper. Every week, my hopeful is the same in my head, but this week on paper, Kevin Harvick's my hopeful.
All right.
And see, Dan Williamson agrees. That's his boy, Martin Truex Jr. Got to give him and my daughter some love. And, of course, go ahead, Corey, say it before the end of the show so we can get it out of the way.
Okay, so my lock this weekend
the whole Chelsea I love you bit. Come on.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me my picks there for a minute. But, Chelsea, if you're watching this right now, I love you.
Well,
and
she's a Truex fan. We're talking about Dan Williamson, my daughter, and now Chelsea Tzatziki Sauce, all Truex fans.
Yes. Yeah.
Pretty much. Sorry to step on your picks, sir.
That's all right.
Your lock better be good.
So my lock this weekend is going to be Kevin Harvick.
Wow.
Of course he did pretty good on the mile and a half last year, and of course he won this race last November. So I really want to see this team make a big rebound this Sunday at Texas. My sleeper for this one, I'm gonna have to go with Kyle Larson. And again, another guy that runs pretty good on the mile and a halves. I really want to see this 42 team run pretty good this weekend. And my hopeful this weekend, I'm going to have to go with Daniel Hemrick. I really want to see some good runs in that 8 car.
Fantastic. You know what? I was just thinking about Daniel Hemrick this weekend. And if I can find my results, here they are, from the SCP 500. 27th place. He didn't look bad, but he didn't look great. Again, just couldn't carry a lot of speed. Some of the announcers, when they did actually show Daniel Hemrick, I think he might have been overwhelmed with the amount of, top-tier Hall of Fame-worthy drivers that were racing against him. And he might have been a little overwhelmed. But, again, when we go back and we've seen some of the runs that Daniel Hemrick has had, you're right. I think Texas is a place where, you put that throttle down, you're wide open, there's very little braking. This could be a track where you might see Daniel Hemrick's name in the top 10.
I couldn't agree more.
Well, thank you. Now, if there's anything you want to pimp plug or otherwise push upon the people, this is the time to do it.
Well, since this is the time to do it on Facebook, so continue to follow us on the C+J Speedway Review. So we are at So on Twitter, we are at CJ_Speedway. Instagram, we are at CJ Speedway. And then, of course, look us up on Facebook, which, of course, we are on live tonight for the very first time.
So if you're watching it, there's no need to follow us. You're already here.
Well, you're already here, so there's no need to follow. But and then, of course, make sure you guys follow us on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell, and then, of course, you'll get notifications on, of course, when we go live and then when we upload our videos to YouTube. And if you have a friend that knows somebody that knows the show or loves racing, make sure you spread the word out to them as well. And then, of course, since we're on Facebook Live, make sure you follow the Rowdy Burns page. I know you guys are kids. So let's see.
Love that.
I'm going to read this down. So Facebook, I am at Rowdy Burns K1 Racer. Instagram, I am at Rowdy Burns 51 Racer. Snapchat, I am at Rowdy51 K1 Racer 1. Twitter, I am at Rowdy51 Racer. So those are my Twitter, Instagram, social media names on there for the Rowdy Burns segments. And of course, click and follow, and you'll never know where I'm going to be at for my next race and everything else and so forth. So big shout out tonight goes to my friend Nick. I don't know if I'm gonna say this last name right, but I'm gonna say Nick Alio, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm trying to get that one right. But anyways, so I was on a Christian men's weekend this past weekend, and I guess my friend Nick was very interested on my NASCAR statistics and whatever, and I texted him the link to our show, and I told him, I said, I don't know if you know this, but we do a show on Wednesday nights, so I wanted to give him a shout out. So Nick, I don't know if you have Facebook, but I'll send you a link of the show via YouTube sometime this week or whatever. And I think somebody just gave me a like. Might have been Matt Blanchett or something. But Matt, if you're watching this, oh yeah, Matt is watching. So Matt, great weekend this weekend, and thank you for watching my show. And this is what we do on Wednesday nights. Well, this is the first time we're doing this on Facebook Live, and I think we should do this a lot more often, since we're getting a lot of go ahead.
Sure. No, it's funny you said that because again, I keep going back to Daniel Williamson, but gosh, I love anytime I have a live feed. Matt is all up in our business. Hello, Matt. Sure.
What's up, Matt?
Sure, none for me, Matt. Thank you. I appreciate that. You're fired. Again, I'm going to read Dan's comment, and then I had a thought. Dan says, to me, having run against Truex Jr. many moons ago, growing up watching his dad run the New England circuit and seeing him grow and take over for his dad in the New England circuit, he's my hometown boy, not to mention T-Rex is still highly underestimated, especially now that he's joined JGR in the shadow of Kyle Busch. So, it's funny, we talked about that in the offseason, if Truex was going to be in the shadow of Kyle or kind of give the team a little more oomph. Here we are in the early stages. We're 6 races in. Yeah, he's kind of living in the shadow of Kyle Busch right now. Again, season's young. Are we going to have the same conversation in July, August, or September? We don't know. None of us have a crystal ball. None of us are Dionne Warwick and the Psychic Friends Network. We don't know. So, Dan, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say yes, right now the 19 is living in the shadow of the 18, but we'll find out. Now, moving on to Pimps and Plugs. Guys, don't forget, the easiest way to help out the show is to go to anchor.fm/CJ Speedway Review. This is where you can leave reviews of the show. You can donate via some of our fantastic sponsors. Please, reviews are important. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, leave that 5-star review. I don't care if you lie and tell us that we're the greatest show you ever heard, because, quite frankly, we are. Other than, and here comes the next Pimp and Plug, April 7th at the Deck in Westbrook, Connecticut, the Loki and Jabroni Show is live and in charge, hosting WrestleMania, the WrestleMania party at the Deck. We've done SummerSlam, we've done the Royal Rumble, but we have never hosted a WrestleMania, and this is going to be a good one. Why are you laughing, Corey Huffnagel?
So it's actually kind of funny because, like, so April 7th, I'm going to be on a retreat weekend, but the problem is that on April 7th, I'm not going to get out until like 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, don't come to
And
the show. It's a long drive, man.
yeah, that's what I was just thinking because Matt, I don't know if you're still watching this, but yeah, so I'm gonna be on a I'm gonna be on a church retreat again from Thursday to Sunday, from April 4th to the 7th, and one of my friends kind of did this last night because I go to a Ben's group reunion. This is for like church stuff and all that stuff, and so one of my friends, and I'm gonna kind of imitate this so far, and my friend's name is Rick, and Rick, if you're watching this,
Rick.
I'm gonna copy this off of you. So I'm gonna be up on the weekend. I'm going like alive, alive, alive forevermore. My Jesus is alive, alive forevermore. No, the way that my friend Rick did it last night was just too funny, and I just got like a big kick out of
You know,
it.
you're going
But
to be doing that on April 7th, and I'm going to be going, Cena sucks. Cena sucks. And it all makes perfect sense. That's the.
and then I'm going to be going yes, 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 yes.
I'm hoping
Oh.
to not be saying yes. I'm rooting for Kofi Kingston on Sunday, April 7th, but to many of you, you don't know who that is, and we're not going to get off on a tangent here. But again, that's the WrestleMania party. In a strange turn of events, you want to talk about technical difficulties. The Loki and Jabroni show did not record last night. We are actually recording this Friday. Yes, on Friday, and then we'll be back on Tuesday nights as usual. And we collectively will be back Wednesday night with the C&J Speedway review with our review of Texas and what comes after Texas. Corey,
Bristol.
you bet your butt, man, the best. Now here's the thing: on Bristol, I have to go set up the gear at the deck in Westbrook, Connecticut. Now Tim Silvestri, the owner of the deck, my good friend, already knows to have a TV on and ready with the Bristol race. I'll watch the first part here. Then I'll throw it in my earphones, whether it's PRN, MRN, BBC, ABC, GBC, don't care who it is. And then when I get to the deck and I'm setting up the gear, he has one TV that he always has NASCAR on for me. So thank you to Tim. If you guys ever get a chance, you're down in Westbrook, Connecticut area, go check out the deck. Great food, great drink. The largest outdoor deck in southeastern Connecticut overlooking the beautiful Connecticut River. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Right there on the beach, you will have the most spectacular time. And if you don't have a spectacular time, come down when Mike and I are down there, and Eddie. And maybe we can get Corey and Tzatziki Sauce to come down one time when we do a live feed at the deck. As long as you're not going, alive, alive, my Jesus is alive. I know the song. It's all good. So, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to end this now. And as we do every week, I'm actually now, instead of doing it on YouTube, Google Hangouts, or whatever, I'm going to put on the FaceTime. I'm going to talk to Corey. We're going to go over tonight's show, and we will see you next week. But before we do, it's time for Corey to deliver and then hit the button. The two most famous words in C&J Speedway review history.
Good night.